This is part 2. It's my life story. It's gonna be long because a lot of stuff has happened. Don't watch it all the way through. I just want people to understand me more. Understand that I don't want any more attention than I'm getting. That I just want a friend. So I guess I'll start from the beginning. After only being a few hours old, my birth family, they left me at the hospital, except for my brother, Tony. He stayed with me. And so I was adopted, but I kept in touch with Tony because he told the most amazing stories, and he was just the greatest guy. He was just about 5 years older than me, and he was my best friend. Kindergarten, I went to a very rural school. First grade, I started school in the city, but neither of my parents had time to pick me up. So they started me in this daycare program. And that was probably the worst mistake they could have ever made. Because at this place, there was this girl who was much older than me, but she was still going there for some reason. She took a liking to me, and not in a good way. It started out by she would tell the staff that she had to go to the bathroom, but she didn't want to go alone, so she took me. And what happened was she didn't go to the bathroom. What we did was she would take off her pants, and she would take off her shirt. She would show me her boobs, her breasts, and her vaginal area, and she would make me touch her, saying, "You're gonna be like this someday." And then after about a week of that, she started having me take off my clothes. And she would touch me and kiss me and lick me. It went on and on for about 2 school years. So, finally in 3rd grade, one of the staff found out. You'd think that was a good thing, but it wasn't. Because he didn't report it. Instead, he went home and he got his video camera. And he would prompt her, and he would script us, and he would videotape what she was doing to me and what I had to do back. And they threatened me constantly. Somewhere out there, there's still child pornography of me. And I've looked for it. I looked for it for so long. I just can't find it. And I want to find it so that it can be taken down. So that I can finally have some peace about it. Because of that, I have PTSD. And more common than not, when I get upset, I have flashbacks. I have night terrors. It's bad. I have panic attacks. And I can't explain to anyone why I'm so upset. And so, no one knew. No one knows. And now my sister's trying to get a job there. And I can't help but think that the staff is still doing the same thing. And that it's all my fault because I never told anyone. I got out of it. I did. 5th grade I was moved to a different school because we moved again. And I was incapable of making friends. I didn't trust anyone. I didn't talk to anyone because I was so terrified of it happening again. And some really big things happened that 5th grade summer. First, my family went to my aunt's wedding. And my mom met a guy. His name is Tim Kerbeck. She talked to him on the phone for about 3 months before deciding that she was going to make her family move to Wyoming to be with this guy. Because my parents have been divorced since I was in the 4th grade. So all of a sudden, she's so willing to up and go with this guy. And so I started middle school in a new state. But then not long after I found that out, I went on a camping trip with my brother. And one day, last day, we were going on a bike ride. He was leading us. And He accidentally rode off of a cliff. And he died. The only person I had in the world was dead. And now I was being forced away to forget everything about him. We lived in Wyoming for about a year. It was hell. It's the coldest winter that they had had in 15 years. I joined the swim team and I walked home every day after swim team, sometimes under below 0-degree temperatures, because this guy was too lazy to come pick me up, or my mom was too busy working at the same school that I did swim team for to drive me home. And I lost a lot of my hair because of that. It's growing back now. But you should have seen the pictures from then. This man, Tim Kerbeck, ended up being abusive. He was very abusive. He hated kids. He hated our dog. He hated everything about us except for my mother, who dealt with it for a long time. But then, finally, or not finally, eventually, he moved on from just hitting her to hitting us. So we came back having nothing, having no place to live, my mom not having a job, me and my sister having to practically fend for ourselves. So we were at another new school. The school was a bit different though. People kind of accepted me there. And it was nice. Until I started having best friends. My first best friend was this boy. His name is Eric. Eric was a high schooler, and I was in 7th grade. He was just a freshman. I didn't think it was a big deal. And so, Eric was my true best friend for 7th grade, but then I also went through all the girl best friends. Each one lasted about 3 months and then moved on to the next one. But at the end of the school year, I became friends with this one girl in specific, and then I had 2 best friends. 8th grade, Eric asked me out, and we were dating, and he was the best guy I'd ever met in my entire life. But that was also when I learned that there was something very different about my girl best friend. She was being pimped out by a guy she barely knew. A guy that had found her walking in the streets one night and drugged her, kidnapped her, let her go home so her parents wouldn't call the police. When he drugged her, he would take her cell phone and he would text me. And he would tell me every single thing he was doing to her. I did everything I could do to help, but it wasn't enough. So, that summer, it was 8th grade graduation. And Eric was parked outside in his car, and he called me. And he said, "Hey babe, why don't you skip the party and come hang out with me? I have to go to California for a while and I want to see your smiling face again." But on the inside where I was, here was my other best friend having this huge argument with this guy, and I was scared she was going to get hurt. So I told him no, that I had to wait for her. And he was so frustrated that he decided to leave for California early. The fight was about nothing. Nothing. Least important thing that has ever happened in my life is why I said no to him. He got to California and got hit by a ricochet bullet. So when I think of getting out of middle school, every single time I think of how I killed him. I should have gone with him. I should have been there for him. And then I lost my best friend, my boyfriend, my first love. Then, later that summer, the only friend I had left, her boyfriend died too. We were both extremely depressed. She started drinking. I started cutting. A lot. Freshman year was great. We made new friends. Went over to one of their houses every single day at lunch. Sometimes smoked weed. Did stupid stuff. She did a lot of stupid stuff with her new boyfriends that she went through like crazy trying to replace her love. And most days I would help her get back to school. I had to because she was so drunk. That was our friendship. And it just got worse and worse But one day, the pimp had guys, this was still going on, and the guys had to watch her now. Make sure she didn't do anything too stupid and get herself killed. And one of those guys, he got to me. Somehow, he managed to get past my walls. And I liked him. Not for what he was doing, but because of who he was. What he was willing to do for me, how he was willing to help her because of what I was asking him. And I thought I loved him. But she didn't like us talking at all. So I went about 2-3 months without talking to him. And then when I got a chance again, well, all he wanted me to do was talk dirty to him. He wanted things to go right back to how they had been the 3 months ago, and I couldn't do that. Call me not good enough, call me whatever, but I just couldn't do it. And because of it, he decided to tell my best friend all the things I had said when I was frustrated about having to miss class, to take her to her class late so she could get through it without going home, to have her dad beat her for missing a class. I did that for her, and I didn't have anyone else to talk to about it, so I talked to him about it. He told her, he showed her the messages, and then I lost both of them. The guy I thought I loved, and this girl that I would do anything for. I would die for her in the worst ways. Still, she's the strongest person I've ever met. But she didn't handle it well at all. First, she stopped talking to me altogether. If I went up to her and tried to say something, she would just pretend that I wasn't there. Then, some of her closer guy friends started coming up to me and harassing me. Then, she practically turned all of our friends against me. Except one. I was able to keep one. But then, over the summer, I found out that the only reason that he had still been talking to me is because he wanted to sleep with me. The harassment had gotten so bad at school that I would leave early crying and just deal with the consequences at home instead of dealing with someone else coming up to me. You'd be amazed at what people do because of what they heard in a rumor. One day I had just been walking home and this guy attacked me and dragged me into a woman's bathroom at a park. And he tried to rape me. No one came to my yells. And so it happened. And then I stopped going to school. I got through the summer without any friends, but I did it by myself. I had no one. My sophomore year, it was nearly the end of water polo season. I had been playing freshman year and I was playing again sophomore year. It's a fall sport and I felt like I was just making life harder for everyone else there. So near the end was the first time I tried to kill myself. And this was kind of interesting because I got sent to this hospital and was put in this huge room, but the only thing in it was a drain and metal bars holding up a metal bench. And on top of that bench there wasn't a pad, but there was a covering. That was my bed. I was stuck in that room by myself for 3 days. The only time I had human contact was when they tried to force me to take medicine, which in a lot of cases turned into needles. I had to eat with my fingers. They gave me nothing to do. I couldn't read. I couldn't draw. I was in that room for 3 days. White walls, white floors. No one came to visit me. And straight from there, they sent me somewhere called the farm home. At the farm home, I was on high suicide risk. So I was in a low-risk building, but I was in a high-risk classification. So I had to sleep on the ground floor, on a fold-out bed with a safety blanket, and just have someone sit and watch me. And, and there was this guy there at this time who started stalking me throughout the house. His name was Deshaun. And the second he got close to me, he would try to touch me sexually. Whenever he saw me, he would do something sexual to like a couch or whatever he was by and like look at me and make moaning sounds. It was ridiculous. And that's when the harassment there started. Eventually, I was able to start at their school, and I loved it there except for this one teacher. And my first day, he said something wrong in class regarding history. And I kept my mouth shut for a while, but then once he assigned us to assignments, I raised my hand and I called him over to me, and I was just like, hey, that wasn't correct. You said that wrong. The real answer is blah, blah, blah. And he got furious. Furious. He pulled me up by my arm, made me stand up in front of the class and he said, "This girl thinks she's smarter than me. Do you know why you're all here? You're all here because you're fucking stupid. And this girl right here, she thinks she's better than me," which says she thinks she's better than all of you. This was my first day. And the staff did absolutely nothing about it. Throw him home. So I was in that low security unit for 3 months with a counselor that hated me and I hated her. And one day that teacher, he made me so just furious that I started walking out of his classroom. And this harassment had gone on and on and on. He failed me on every single one of my assignments, even when I did more than everyone else. And so I just walked out instead of hearing him yell at me again. And you know what he did? He followed me out the door, and he pushed me over the railing that sent me down a floor onto the ground. And when the staff came out, he told them that I slipped. That was the last day that I went to his class, but they still made me go to school. So I still saw him every single day. And now, he was also one of the PE teachers, but I couldn't get out of that class. "Molly, what's that have to do with what he said to you? This is a different class, it's different." No, it wasn't. I had a roommate once who told me she had a daughter and all this, and she lied to me and lied to me, and one day she told me her daughter had died, and it was just ridiculous. But I met these really cool guys. I got along with the guys really well. But after 3 months, my counselor said, "Molly's not learning anything, so let's send her to the high-risk unit, highest risk unit in the state." And I was there for 4 months with a bunch of crazy ass fucking people. And they tried to put me back into that teacher's class. And by crazy people, I mean crazy ass people. These were just kids though, they were under 18. And it was just ridiculous. The one roommate that I had, she was into the Wicca stuff. I'm not really sure how to say it, but that magic stuff. And so she hid this sheet under her bed that she had drawn one of those huge circles with a star in it. And she snuggled in some stuff to put on the star corners or something, and she'd do her little magic stuff at night. And then one day, that roommate, I had a very high fever. I was sick and I was just laying in bed and I was completely out of it. I don't remember, nothing. I don't remember anything. And apparently the staff walked in on her attempting to make out with me. And that's when she had to move rooms. But in the process of her moving room, she ripped down everything off my wall. She ripped up my sheets, my blankets, my stuffed animals, some of my clothes. And then she started like chanting, saying that she was gonna curse me. And yeah. That was my second roommate. And so then I finally got to go home. Finally, after being there for almost 8 months, I got to go home. And things were great for a while. Everyone was still pretending that they cared. But then I guess they just decided that somehow treatment had magically fixed me and I didn't need their support anymore. So there I was, still a sophomore. I went to the end of school for the last month. Everyone was asking me, whoa, where you been, blah, 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 and I couldn't tell them. And so, I'd say about a month into summer, I tried to kill myself again. They sent me to that same blank white room, but this time I was only there for a day before they sent me back to the farm home. And this time I was only there for a month. So I spent probably a total of 8 months there. And then they sent me back home again. And things were okay for a while, actually. The rest of the summer was fine. And, things were getting what I thought was better. And then my junior year started again, and I was still at that school, and I still didn't have any friends, and it was awful. So my counselor, he decided to send me to a private school, and I really enjoyed it. It's maximum 5 kids per class. It was great, except for that he said that the district would pay for it, but they didn't. So my mom paid $700 a month for me to go there for 4 months before I had to drop out because we couldn't afford it. And so I stopped going to school. And I just stayed at home for a long time by myself. I was a junior in high school, and that's what I was doing. Staying at home by myself all day long. And it's been, what? How long have I been gone? Well, I tried to kill myself again. And that time I actually almost succeeded. And it's just pretty much what I said in the first video. Every time I start to cry for whatever reason, I go into panic attack mode because it either reminds me of Eric's death or it reminds me of what happened when I was in daycare. And no one understands why I'm so upset. I wake up screaming then no sleep for days after that because I'm too scared that the nightmares will come back. This is my bed. This is a fold-out couch. I'm not allowed to sleep in my own room because everyone thinks that I'm going to kill myself again. Or try to. So I get to sleep on this. I'm not allowed to go in my room by myself. They went through all of my stuff and took away quite a bit of it. And life sucks. I still don't have any friends. Went through treatment again. Treatment's bullshit. It's bull fucking shit. Okay? I just want some of you to try to understand how it feels to be me. I've been diagnosed with chronic depression, extreme anxiety, PTSD, a social anxiety disorder, as well as some other stuff. Suicidal ideation, that's just constant now. So that's a diagnosis. It's bad. And the meds I'm on make me not me. I've been diagnosed with a lot over these years. And I'm still very, very depressed. So now my mom's trying to sign me up to get my GED at the community college. But I'm not ready for that. I still have too much stress on me. I'm just not worth anything. Anyway, that's my story. I'm sure I left something out. Oh, well, I was in this hospital the last time. I lost 12 pounds. Woo. That's it. My life might sound interesting, but it's really not. It's a lot of isolated time. And it's really, really depressing. And I could really use a friend. So yeah, you guys asked for it and you got it. I'm sure I left something out. I guess that's what comes with not using cards. But if you have any questions, just ask. I just really want someone to understand that things are not just simple for me. They're not straight edge. It always comes with something else. This is the life of Molly, and it's crazy. And if you watched all the way through this, I congratulate you. And I genuinely hope that no one ever has to go through what I've been through, or what I'm going to go through, because I know life is just getting harder. This is gonna have to be the end, because I need to go cry in a corner now or something. It's hard for me to admit all this, but at the same time, I've said it so many times through treatment that it gives me mixed feelings. I just wish things were easier for me. But oh well. Have a good day, everyone. For me.